play soccer, but I do a lot of other things. So one being a frugal athlete. A frugal athlete is essentially an online media platform that promotes prudent financial practices and smart career decisions amongst professional athletes and student athletes. So our goal is to help athletes make money, multiply money, and manage money through financial education and athlete empowerment. I do a lot of other things as well. I have a couple podcasts, a podcast with my brother called Pass the Remote, where we kind of just make jokes around movies and film. I got another podcast or show actually with 2 Cents FC, and that's like a soccer specific platform where we kind of do different content around soccer, culture, all that in an unbiased, unfiltered way. It might seem like I'm doing a lot, but it's all out of love. It's all out of like passion and things I want to do. But one of the most important things, or like one of the things that bring me most joy, is my foundation, the OKU Go Foundation, and essentially we want to give children from low-income backgrounds the resources and opportunities for them to better themselves and better their communities. So whether it's through athletic, educational, or social programs, provide an outlet for them to be their best selves. Um, that's essentially it. Always trying to think of a new side hustle, trying to think of something to maximize my time. Our window of influence as athletes is only so long. So how can I, extend that through some of the things that soccer has given me to do some wonderful things outside of it. Yeah, so being a black soccer player, African American soccer player, growing up in the United States, it's been unique. First and foremost, I'm grateful to have this opportunity to be a professional soccer player. There's hundreds of thousands of kids, boys, men, people that want to be a professional athlete, a professional soccer player. So to have that opportunity, MLS, USL, whatever level I've been able to play at is an honor. My experience has been unique. There's been some ups and downs, some interesting situations that you wouldn't expect to happen that have happened. Obviously, being first generation Nigerian American, um, it's how can I say it? My experience is different in the sense of soccer was kind of in my blood. It was the main sport that we had growing up as a Nigerian household. So it wasn't like I was, playing basketball or football, and then I kind of like fell into soccer. Soccer was the sport I played from the ground up. But from like being black standpoint in my journey, it was unique. Being one of two, one of three. I think the most we ever had on the club team at the time was four, African Americans. So that was unique, kind of being like the minority within the team setting. And then growing up, not having a lot of black coaches. I always tell this story, shout out to Coach Dennis Armstrong, former national team, great former professional soccer player. So it was like a U14 national ID2 camp, like right before the USU national team camps. And he was one of the coaches at the camp. And because it was like one of my first times experience having a black coach, especially at that level, that wasn't my dad or my uncle, and kind of like hung on every word he said because to see someone that looked like you, that's been to where you want to go, give you practical advice, we kind of like soaked up all his knowledge like a sponge. And you could tell like at that camp, it wasn't just me, it was like, other African American players that were like, constantly seeking out his information, like what he said, because we weren't used to that. We weren't used to seeing a black coach, or we weren't used to seeing a black professional soccer player that's been there, done it, on the national team, playing at a high level. So that's a unique experience. Another one, growing up, we had a U17 tournament in Ukraine, and dealing with like, and I know it wasn't in the States per se, but dealing with that on a global front, like dealing with racism and having to deal with, having to get kicked out of a stadium because of the color of our skin, due to like some groups that didn't like us being there. It's just a crazy experience. But from a MLS USL standpoint, there's been situations that have happened. that kind of gone under the rug. Whether it's being called the N-word by a player, uh, being kind of scapegoated for things that may or may not be true because they want to put you in a certain category. That's happened. Kind of micro transgressions that you don't really think about until like you get back home or you get in the locker room and you're like, wait, that was kind of messed up. So I would say there was a experience during my MLS career where I reported that a player like spat in my direction. So luckily I saw it coming, so I got out the way. But I had told the ref, and then like they filed a grievance, did like what they needed to do, the protocol, and apparently no one saw it. But I know if I did that, everyone would have seen it. But really happy that everyone's taking a cautious effort to make amends, or not make amends, but to like provide solutions to the problems that we all see today. Yeah, so that's a great question. I think first and foremost, I love what the BPA is doing, specifically in terms of like BPA, so it stands for Black Players Alliance. It's not secluded to just Black players. It's for anyone that wants to get behind the alliance. And I really think that wording and that messaging is really important. I want it to be inclusive to everyone and not just like, oh, this is just for the players that feel marginalized, or just for the Black players. So the Black Players Alliance is for everyone to get involved. I really like that, and the BPA I think is really important for us to provide solutions. So we can always sit here and talk about stories about like what's happened to us, or why this was wrong or why this was right. But I'm all about like solutions. So for me specifically, I think how can we bring more people into the game? Obviously people talk about soccer being a pay-to-play sport and by kind of being closed off. So how do we bring it into the urban communities? How do we entice others to get involved? How do we keep people engaged, especially the Black athletes, not just like to play, but like how do they stay engaged after their careers? Whether it's in the community, whether it's in the organization, whether it's in the staff. So I think that's really important from my perspective, is the engagement and the solutions. So what does that look like? How can we get more Black people involved in the sport? How can we keep them in the sport? And how can we use that and package that to do some wonderful things?